Last week, a friend of mine got deeply affected by the ongoing pandemic. Not the COVID-19, but the pandemic of hate and racism. Both of these pandemics share very similar characteristics, like anybody can get affected. Some are totally immune to it. Some people will show very mild symptoms, while others will go through severe stages but make full recovery. However, for some, unfortunately, there is no recovery. The pandemic of hate and racism is subtle, far more widely spread, lingering, and it affects not the respiratory system, but hearts and minds. It is not contained by geographical boundaries or to certain societies. It is not the white versus non-white problem only, whether America, Africa, Europe, Middle East, Asia, or Australia. Hate and racism simply mutates to take its local form, nevertheless it exists. But I believe silence of good is far more damaging than the shouts of evil. Human beings are a marvelous miracle of nature. We empathize, we build, we reason, learn, analyze, and conquer our own selves to grow. The complexity of anatomy topped by the ability to reason is unmatched in the universe, at least to our knowledge. An average human brain has about 86 billion neurons or nerve cells. An adult body is made up of 7 octillion atoms, that is 7 followed by 27 zeros. All of this is wrapped inside our bodies, which are covered in our skins. Skin is made up of 3 layers. The outermost layer provides a waterproof protective barrier. Melanin is a pigment which is generated on the topmost layer of our skin only, and it is responsible for creating our skin tones. That's the entire depth of color. The thickness of that layer is around 0.1 millimeter or 1/10 of a millimeter, which is equivalent of thickness of one sheet of a paper or less than the thickness of your single hair. Reducing an entire human being down to the color of their skin, which is defined by the layer smaller than the thickness of your hair, is simply a tragedy. Okay, while the hate crimes are on the rise, people have started to normalize alternative catchphrases like, "I don't see color." Now, I understand the goodwill or well intent behind them to suggest a person's unbiasedness or proclivity towards diversity, but there's some underlying problem with this mantra. Remember that?
To me, true diversity is diversity of thought, not diversity of color. I don't see color. I go after Hillary Clinton and she is white as they come.
You don't see color. So what do you do at a traffic light?
There are 3 things that I find problematic with this phrase. Number 1, it covers up. Racism has not been eradicated, it has just morphed into more covert and insidious form. Second problem is that it avoids self-reflection and digging to the core. Acknowledgement and acceptance of our own biases and prejudice is a powerful catalyst to change. Most importantly, this mantra is counterproductive. Each of us is different, and by saying that one of the most obvious and conspicuous characteristics of a person is something you just ignore, is trivializing and dismissive. We need to abolish this idea that a colorblind society is the goal and accept the reality. We are all different. We need to recognize our prejudice, bias, the stereotypes we have adopted and normalize so we can make conscious steps towards changing them. We need to spread the message of love louder than the shouts of hate. We need to spread the message that skin is not the person wrapped in it and color is not a quality. See you next time.